Hello students, in our previous lecture we are studied the unit number 2 financial statement analysis and calculation of ratio. In our today's lecture we are going to start unit number 3 cost volume profit and analysis. Introduction. The cost volume profit CVP analysis is a tool to show the relationship between various ingredients of profit planning wise unit sales price, unit variable cost and fixed costs. Okay, sales volume and sales mix in the case of multi-product firm. Okay, so the cost volume profit analysis is the tool to show the relationship between various ingredients of profit and planning. It includes the sales price per unit, variable cost per unit and fixed cost. Okay, sales volume and sales mix are taken into consideration if the multi-product firm is manufacture the products. Okay, the CVP analysis shows the relationship between cost and profit and sales volume. The crucial step in this analysis is the determination of break-even point, which is defined as the sales level at which the total revenue equal to total costs. It is the level at which losses cease and beyond which profit starts. The break-even techniques has many applications for purpose of CVP analysis. Here, the CVP analysis shows the relationship between cost, profit, and sales volume. It is a crucial steps in this analysis. It determines the break-even analysis or break-even point, and break-even point means the sales level at which the total revenue or total revenue is equal to total cost. It means the revenue is equal to cost is known as break-even point, or it is known as break-even situation. Okay, it is the level at which losses cease and beyond this point the profit earning of profit is start. Okay, earning of profit is start from this point. It means if the sales is, or if the sales value is more than the total cost, then firm earn a profit, or the manufacturing concern is start to earning a profit, is known as a break even point, where the revenue is equal to total cost. And if the business organization has selling price is more than the total cost, then the firm is earn a profit or start a earning of profit. Here break-even analysis BEP can be determined by the following methods. Here algebraic comparison and graphical presentation. Algebraic comparison means a contribution margin approach or equation techniques. We use the formula and find out the BEP. Here graphical presentation include break-even chart and profit volume graph. Okay, contribution margin approach. Here contribution margin approach means, in the contribution margin approach, BEP is computed on the basis of the relationship between fixed cost and the contribution margin CM. The CM represent the difference between the sales revenue and the variable cost. Okay, the contribution margin approach BEP is computed on the basis of the relationship between fixed cost and contribution margin. Contribution margin represent the difference between sales volume and the variable cost. Okay, the equation technique is particularly useful in situations where unit price and unit variable cost are not clearly defined. So here equation technique is useful in the situation where unit price and variable unit price or variable unit cost is not clearly defined in the problem. So we use these techniques. Okay, the axis of actual sales over BEP. Here excess of actual sales over BEP sales. Okay, it means actual sales minus BEP sales, we get a MOS, that is margin of safety. And when margin of safety is divided by actual sales, we get a margin of safety ratio, which is indicate the percentage by actual sales may be declined without causing any loss to the firm. Okay, so here MOS means excess of actual sales over BEP sales, we get a margin of safety, and percentage of margin of safety is calculated by margin of safety divided by actual sales. We get a ratio which indicates the percentage of actual sales, or which is shows the percentage of margin of safety. Okay, now we are going to discuss the break even chart. Okay, break even chart shows the graphical presentation or relationship between cost, profit and sales. Okay, it shows not only break even sales. Okay, break even chart does not show only break even chart, but it shows the estimated cost and profit at various levels of the sales revenue. Is useful for the organization to show the uh, profit or estimated cost or and profit at various stages of the sales revenue. Decision making, here decision making, cost, volume, profit helps the management, assist the management in solving some managerial problems. Okay, and that managerial problems are discussed here. First is make or buy decision. Okay, where from if the component is make in the factory, or if the component is purchased from outsider suppliers, is depend on this decision of the management. So here if the product has component part, it is necessary to decide whether it is to be made in the factory to utilize ideal capacity or to purchase it from outsiders. If the price demanded by the outsider supplier is more than the marginal cost, the component should be manufactured in the factory. Here, if the price demanded by the outsider supplier is more than the marginal cost, then the company should decide to manufacture this component in the factory for utilization of the component. But if the outsider supplier has provided the components less than the marginal cost, then the manufacturing concern has purchased the components from outsider supplier. So here example is given. If the suppose the marginal cost of unit is 10 and fixed the expenses is rupees 5, the supplier is prepared to supply it as rupees 12. The prima facie conclusion is that the cheaper to purchase at rupees 12, as the total cost of manufacture is rupees 15. So here purchase of component or manufacture of components, here manufacturing of components is expensive, that is 10 rupees is marginal cost plus 5 rupees is fixed cost, is equal to total cost for manufacturing is rupees 15. But the supplier or the outsider supplier is provide these components at rupees 12. So it is the prima facie conclusion that the cheaper it component is cheaper than it is purchased from the outsiders supplier. Okay, it's called make or buy decisions. Okay, if the how the organization has decided to make or buy the component, if the outsiders supplier if the outsider supplier demanded more price, or more price than marginal cost. Okay, then the manufacturing concern has decided to make this component. If the outsider supplier has provide these components less than marginal cost, then the manufacturing concern has to decide to purchase these component from the outsider supplier, is called make or buy decision. Okay, and second one is alternative method of production or alternative course of action. The same principle as above is to be applied while selecting the method of production from alternative methods available. Okay, the method okay the method which gives the largest contribution is to select, keeping of course the various key factor in viewpoint. Okay, so here the maximum or largest contribution is selected, and according to this the alternative method of production should be taken into consideration at the various level of production, or to take into consideration the various key factors relating to production is known as alternative method. Okay, now close down or close down of business or shut down or continue decision. It is the question of stopping the production is of temporary nature. The production should not be stopped provided the products are making a contribution towards fixed cost. Permanent closing down of business is justified only in the long run. The selling price is not likely to exceed the total cost. The business is not likely to earn a sufficient return for the risk involved. Okay, so here close down or shut down or continue the decision is depend upon the selling price of the components or products. If the selling price of the product is not exceeds the total cost. Okay, if we produce a one product, that is if we produce a bathing soap and the total cost is incurred for bathing soap is rupees 15 rupees or 20 rupees. For example, here we consider 20 rupees, so total cost is 20 rupees and we sell it in the market for rupees 18. So here the total cost is exceeds than the sales, so the company or the organizations did not earn a sufficient return on the product, so the company will decide to close down the business or close down the manufacturing concern. Okay, so it is known as closing down of business or shut down or continue the business. If the business earn a profit, for example here total cost is rupees 20 and selling price is 25, then the profit is equal to 5, so company will decide to uh, manufacture or continue the production of the soap. Okay, is called continue decision. Now we are going to discuss the break-even analysis or CVP analysis. Here some formulas are here to calculate the CVP. So we calculate the ratios with the help of this formula, or find out the break-even point contribution with the help of this ratio. Here break-even analysis or CVP analysis include contribution. Contribution means the excess of selling price over the marginal or variable cost is referred to as contribution. So contribution means excess of selling price over the variable cost is equal to contribution. So here for example selling price per unit is rupees 30 and total variable cost rupees 18, therefore the contribution is rupees 12 per unit. Okay, how we calculate the 12 per unit? So here selling price minus variable cost, we get a contribution of rupees 12 per unit. Here contribution is not a net profit of the organization, because here only variable costs are taken into consideration and not the fixed cost. Okay, so here while finding out the contribution is not a profit of the organization, because we only consider the variable cost of the organization, we did not consider the fixed cost of the manufacturing concern. Okay, when we deduct the fixed cost from contribution, we get net profit or net loss of the organization. If contribution is equal to fixed cost, there is neither profit nor loss. Okay, so here a situation is BEP situation is here, contribution is equal to fixed cost, neither profit nor loss. So how we calculate the contribution? So formula is given here. Contribution is equal to selling price minus variable cost. That is, in short, S minus V. We get a contribution of the organization, or another formula is given here. Contribution is equal to fixed cost plus profit. Okay, how we calculate profit? Profit is equal to contribution minus fixed cost. Okay, here given profit is equal to contribution minus fixed cost. We get a net profit or net loss of the organization. Okay, and how we calculate this contribution? So contribution is equal to S minus V. We get a contribution, or contribution is equal to fixed cost plus profit. We get a contribution of the concern. Okay, another formula is given here. Selling price minus variable cost plus fixed cost, we get a contribution. The knowledge of contribution margin is available aid to the management in making decision. So here contribution is valuable aid to the management in decision making. On the basis of knowledge of contribution, the management can decide whether to accept or reject a new order. The new order may be accepted if it yields the greatest contribution. New order may be accepted, okay, if the yield or the contribution is greater or maximizing the profit. The new order has maximized the profit, then it will be accepted in the organization. A product or sale mix, the sale mix which gives maximum contribution is to be adopted. The product mix or sales mix is adopted when it gives the maximum contribution to the organization or business concern. A selection of production method from alternative methods available here. Also, the methods which gives the maximum contribution is to be adopted subject to the consideration of key factor, not factory, key factor. Okay, here a selection of production method. A production method is selected from alternative methods available. Okay, we see the methods available for production, that is make or buy decision and so on, alternative production method. Okay, so here the organization has adopted a new one method available for here, which gives a maximum contribution to the organization are taken into consideration, and these are the key factors of the organization to maximize the contribution of the organization. These are the contribution, or known as contribution, and calculation of contribution. So remember this formula. It is useful, or it is beneficial to you, that for finding out the contribution. Here we calculate the contribution with the help of this formula. So contribution means excess of selling price over the variable cost is known as contribution in simple word. Now we are understand the profit volume ratio. Here PV ratio, or contribution minus sales, that is CS ratio. Okay, profit volume ratio is the relationship between, or the ratio establishes a relationship between contribution and sales. Okay, so profit volume ratio shows the relationship between contribution and sales. This ratio is useful guide in the determining the profitability of the business. It is generally expressed in percentage. So PV ratio is generally expressed in percentage, and it shows the profitability position of the organization or manufacturing concern, as well as it shows the relationship between contribution and sales value. And formula for computation of PV ratio is equal to contribution divided by sales multiplied by 100. Okay, so here for calculating PV ratio, we first of all find out the contribution. So here PV ratio is equal to contribution upon sales into 100. In short, C upon S multiplied by 100, we get a PV ratio of the organization. Okay, so here PV ratio is equal to sales minus variable cost divided by sales multiplied by 100. Okay, that is S minus V. Here sales minus variable cost means contribution. Okay, in our contribution formula we understand the how to calculate the contribution is calculated as sales minus variable cost. We get a contribution. Just put this formula or put the sales minus variable cost in PV ratio. It is also known as contribution. So contribution divided by sales multiplied by 100, we get a PV ratio of the organization. Here by transposition it means if the contribution or selling price or variable cost is not given but sales and PV ratio is given, so we easily calculate or find out the contribution of the organization. So contribution is equal to sales multiplied by PV ratio. We get a contribution. If sales is not given in the problem, then we easily find out the sales of the organization, that is contribution divided by PV ratio. We get a sales of the organization, or PV ratio is calculated in using the another formula, that is change in contribution and change in sales multiplied by 100. Here uh, this formula is very important. In your problem give you a 2 years profit, uh, means previous year's profit and current year's profit, and according to this profit and these sales you have to find out the PV ratio. So here uh, these two formula is very important. How we calculate? If the previous year's sales and previous year's profit is given in the problem and current year's profit and current year sales is given in the problem, we easily find out the PV ratio of the organization, that is previous year profits and current year's profit. So we deduct the current year's profit from previous year's profit, we get a change in profit. Okay, and we deduct the sales, last year sales minus current year sales, we easily get a change in sales, divide into 100, we get a PV ratio. Okay, so PV ratio is equal to change in profit divided by change in sales multiplied by 100. Okay, PV ratio is also PV ratio is always in percentage, so multiplied by 100. Okay, the ratio would remains constant at different levels of production. The ratio is useful for the determination of the desired level of output or profit, for the calculation of variable cost for the any volume of sales. The variable cost can be expressed as, variable cost is equal to sales into 1 minus PV ratio. Okay, so here with the help of this formula we find out the PV ratio, and PV ratio shows the, or it establishes the relationship between the contribution and sales value of the organization. So here PV ratio shows the relationship between contribution and sales. It is a useful guide to determine the profitability position of the business organization, and it is generally expressed in percentage. So PV ratio is always expressed in percentage. Okay, and we studied the all formulas for computation of PV ratio. Now we are going to discuss the break-even point, and break-even point is known as no profit no loss situation. So here it is a point at which the total cost is equal to the income or sales. In other words, it is a volume of sales at which there is neither profit nor loss. If sales cross this point to the business, if the sales cross this point, the business earn a profit. Okay, the business earned a profit. Okay, so here if the sales cross this point, the business earn the profit, and if the sales are less than the total cost, okay, if the sales are than less than the less than the total cost, business suffer a loss or business has incurred the loss. Okay, so here business suffer a loss or incurred a loss is known as break-even point. It means break-even point means total revenue is equal to total cost is a situation where the business organization or manufacturing concern um, is neither earn a profit nor incurred a losses, is known as break-even situation. But sales is cross this point. Okay, if the sales is cross the break-even point, the business is earned a profit. Okay, sales is cross the break-even point, it means sales value is excess than the total cost. The manufacturing concern or any concern has start to earn a profit. Okay, and if the sales is not exceeds than the total cost, then the business organization or concern suffers from loss or incurred a losses of the uh, losses in the business. Okay, the formula to computation of break even point is here. Here two formulas are given here. First, BEP or break even point in units. Okay, in units we use the first formula, that is break even point is equal to fix the cost divided by contribution per unit in units. If we find out the break even points in units, we use this formula. Okay, here we make this or we highlight the units in yellow color. If the break-even point is find out or computed in units, we use this formula, fix the cost divided by contribution per unit. If the break-even point is computed in value, we use these two or three formula. Okay, so here formula first, break even point is equal to fix the cost divided by contribution per unit multiplied by selling price. Okay, we get a break even point in value. Okay, we compute a break even point in value. Second formula is here, that is break even point is equal to fix the cost divided by total contribution multiplied by total sales. We get a break even point in value or sales. Okay, these are the formula to compute the break even point of the organization. And third formula is BEP is equal to fixed cost divided by 1 minus variable cost per unit divided by selling price per unit. We get a BEP sales, and mostly used formula is here, we highlight it. Okay, BEP is equal to fixed cost divided by PV ratio. We easily calculate the, we easily find out, we easily compute the break even point with the help of this formula. Okay, so these are the formula to compute the break even point. Now we understand the MOS. MOS means margin of safety. Okay, here margin of safety, how we compute the margin of safety? So here margin of safety is equal to, okay, is equal to actual sales minus actual sales minus BEP sales. BEP sales, we get a margin of safety of the organization. Okay, so here margin of safety is calculated with the help of this formula. actual sales minus BEP sales. Where we find out the BEP sales? So in this formula we find the BEP sales. Okay, here we find the BEP sales and actual sales is given in the problem. So actual sales minus BEP, or we deduct the BEP sales from actual sales, we get a margin of safety of the organization. Okay, and uh, the percentage of margin of safety is calculated by margin of safety divided by actual sales or BEP sales into 100. We get a percentage of margin of safety. Okay, we studied this point in our first point. Okay, so here in our today's lecture we are studied the all theoretical part and formula related to uh, unit number third, that is cost, volume, profit and analysis. In our next lecture we are start a practical problem on unit number third. Only 2 or 3 problems are solved here. Then we are start our fourth unit, that is budget and budgetary control. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you have any query, let me know about your doubt. I will try to clear it. Okay, thank you very much.